Hey, this is part 2 of what is root, why root. This part is more for people that have already rooted their phone, and I'm going to go into some of the xposed framework modules, starting off with the YouTube add-away module, and I'm going to go into a little bit on theming your custom ROM and some tips and tricks, and I'm going to show how to up your tower priority, especially if you have Virgin Mobile or Boost Mobile. I'm going to give an example of the Viper for Android audio drivers, and I'm going to talk a little bit about ROM Toolbox Pro. Enjoy the video. Okay, the version of YouTube that I have is 0.3.32, I believe. But I wanted to show that YouTube add away module, and it's not active right now, so there'll still be advertisements, and I wanted to show it without the module on. Now I'm not sure if this is gonna show, being that see, because the screencaster won't always record the video that shows on the screen.
The whole point for me is to take something that's very small and make it look like something that's very big by lighting it or creating some kind of atmosphere.
But yeah, that's an ad that's playing there. So I'm going to go in and activate that module. I didn't mean to go there. But with most of the modules, you actually have to reboot your device before it'll. So I'll go ahead and reboot it and come back with in the next part. Okay, I rebooted the phone. I noticed in the video that on YouTube it didn't show up. It just said add down in the corner. But I tried to do it without rebooting it, and the ad still showed up after I activated the module. So I went ahead and rebooted it, and that was needed. So I'll go ahead and look up the same video. It should just go straight into the video. I got a slow internet connection here. Alright, no ads. I want to go over some of the xposed framework modules. And I'm not going to go into how to set this up. I made a video called Best Root Apps, and that'll explain that. But the burnt toast module will show the application that's making the toast. It'll just have the symbol alongside of it. Like if I go check this off, the xposed icon will appear next to the toast message like this. Okay. And the custom share module will let you knock out some of the things that when you go to share something like a picture, and it loads a whole bunch of applications that you can share it with. If you don't want to share it to certain apps, you can select the apps. It'll load them all up, just check them off, and it won't share with those anymore. Okay. Now I'll do Xthemer later. Greenify. You got to use the experimental features. You got to have the pro version though, and that'll let you use the GCM push for greenified apps. So that one's really important, especially if you're gonna greenify Facebook, because that's kind of a battery hog. Hide exposed IME. That'll make that when you go type something in, that thing comes up in your status bar. saying to, oh, what does it say? Something about choosing a keyboard or way of inputting it. High battery low alert. That'll, on this phone at 14% and 9%, it'll give a low battery alert real loud, and it scares me. So that'll make that stop doing that. Instagram downloader. Okay, let's go into Instagram here. And there's the download button. So that works. Let's see what's next here. Min guard, I showed that on the last video. The master key multi-fix, that's an important one for when you root your phone and you can't take over there updates anymore. It'll patch these Android bugs. Going to SMS exposed, and a neat one on this is that it'll flash your camera light or flashlight, whatever you want to call it, when you get a new message, and that's nice, especially if you have your phone on silent. Alright, the smooth system progress bars. It says replaces progress bar with a smoother implementation. And I just want to show you what that does. It lets you customize the progress bar. So let's say I go to download something here, and instead of left to right progress bar, it's a little different. I like that better. Just a little extra. Okay, the next one I want to go into is xprivacy. And this is the best app for, well, obviously privacy reasons. And I'm only going to go into one application to kind of get a feel for it. Just explain some things. And you're not going to have access to ones that are on your system partition, just on data. And I'm going to go through Aptoid. And for an application that doesn't need internet, go ahead and check that off and it'll block it. But for Aptoid, it does need internet, and it also needs to view the browser. It'll use the internet browser, or the Android browser. But as far as phone, always block get device ID, and you'll be able to tell if it's asking for it, because there'll be an exclamation mark by it. And also make sure that you block your serial number there under identification. And with Aptoid, for some reason it wants to access super user, so I go ahead and block that, and that's going to be under shell and SU and super user there. So that's all I'm going to go into on that one. And that's it for the exposed modules. So if you're rooted, I definitely recommend that. Here's an example of what Xthemer can do. If you notice the Wi-Fi signal icon up there, that's the rainbow one. You can change that with this, along with a couple other things. This is going to be the only thing I'll show. Restart system UI. When it comes back, the icon will be different. Here's a little sample of those better audio drivers in Viper for Android. Okay, that's SRS. It's Dolby. Beats. And this is Viper. I'm not going to go much into this because I already made a video tutorial about it. Sounds a lot better. Alright, now I want to go into theming ROM. And your ROM is pretty much it's just everything that's on your phone. The launcher and your apps. And when you go to flash a ROM in recovery, in case you're new to recoveries, there's a process that you want to do it in. And here's a couple ROMs. But when you're in recovery, you want to wipe your cache, your Dalvik and cache, your Dalvik cache plus cache, and go ahead and wipe those twice. And then you want to do a factory data reset. And then after that, format all partitions except for the SD card. And never do a factory data reset inside of your ROM or inside of settings, and I think it's under storage. Never do a data reset in there, only in recovery. And after you do that and format, then you can go ahead and install the zip from the SD card. And I'm on Midnight ROM, and there were some things that weren't in Midnight ROM. For instance, it didn't have any of the weather, HTC's weather applications. You see there's... And Negalite Blue ROM does have the weather apps in it. So I went ahead and stuck those in there. But you can't just go getting applications and putting them in your system. Like, for instance, the in order to get the weather apps to work, you also have to have this weather folder, which Midnight ROM doesn't have. So I had to copy that over, change all the permissions on it to get the HTC weather to work. And I'll just give you another example. When I got the e-reader from the ROM, you also have to have the libs for it, or libraries, and they're .sos. And to get that to work, I had to copy over lib. Let's see here. And there's so many. Libfr SDK plus lib HTC reader, and another one I think was lib page curl, and I had to have all those libraries to get the e-reader to work. So if you're going to put something from another ROM in there, make sure you do some research on what it needs to work. And okay. Now there's a couple different kinds of ROMs. One is your stock ROM, and it's just very similar to the ROM that originally came on your phone, except it's been tweaked by the developer. And then there's another kind of ROM called an AOSP ROM, or Android Open Source Project ROM, and that's what CyanogenMod is. And you can't just go swapping out different applications, especially the Google apps are different for cyanogens than they are on stock ROMs. You actually have to get a GApps or Google Apps package and flash it separately in recovery. Like one thing that you can't switch over is DSP Manager, the audio manager. If you find a theme for your phone or for your ROM, there's something really nice that you can do as far as getting things like framework or your system UI. Because let's say I want to put this framework over, and I like this framework because it's got darker theme to it. It has like a dual carousel for like when the little thing's spinning around. It also has a blue one that goes around the opposite direction with a little Android guy on it. And you can't just copy over. Let's go over here to system framework. There's some things that you can't just copy over. Like I can't just hold in framework and copy it over to system. It has to be flashed in recovery. Because if you just try to copy it over, it's gonna make your ROM freeze, and you'll have to erase your ROM and start over. So there's some neat trick that you can do, like with that theme, you can put an application, like you can put another browser, an app. So what you do is just copy, hit copy, and it'll copy over to this zip file or this theme, and when you go to flash it, it'll also include that application. Just one last thing about why I'd rather be on a stock ROM than an AOSP ROM is because, let me show you what this app is called. It's called xposed, and I'll show you what it lets you do. And I've never been able to get this to work in an AOSP ROM, xposed. And when I go into the dialer, you can dial a code #, DATA, or #, 3282 #. And I made a little video about this called #, data #tweaks or something like that. And you have to have your MSL code to do this. And this is what I mentioned about the what do you call it? Tower priority. Because with this Virgin Mobile phone, I was originally at that ACCOLC or Access Overload class. It was originally on 9, which is the lowest. And on my stepdad's phone, he has a Sprint, and his Access Overload class was 3, which is the best. So I went ahead and changed it from 9 to 3, and I don't have any drop calls anymore. So that's why I did that. A really handy app that I wanted to include in this video is called ROM Toolbox. And a really nice thing about it is the auto start manager. and you can choose which apps that you want to start on boot. And there's also, and the heat just kicked on here, so it might be a little harder to hear me, so I'll try to speak up a little bit. The build prop tweaks, and I'm just going to go into a few because some of these things like the LCD density and the heap size vary by device, but you want the ring delay to be at 0, the Wi-Fi scan interval to be at about a couple minutes or 120 seconds, and the proximity delay, put it down at 100 or less so that when you take the phone away from your ear it doesn't have that dark screen for a while. Also, the build prop editor. I made another video just on the build prop tweaks for the Evo or Evo 3D or Evo V, and the only thing I'm going to mention is the RO build RO product version, and you can make it your own, whatever you want to put in there. And then when you go into your settings and about phone, the software version, that's what your software version will be. And there's another little trick that I'll go into about that also. I want to show you another nice feature, ROM toolbox. When I go to set, there's Explore and Photos. For some reason they have it in the applications to where you can set wallpapers with those, and I don't think it's any of their business. And there's a way to get those off of there. Go into the Auto Start Manager, and go to oh, that Photos part is actually a part of Google Plus. I'll show you where to disable those to where they won't show up when you go to set the wallpaper. What was the first one? ES File Explorer. You got a long press on it. Go to Advanced, and you don't want to just start knocking off activities because it could cause your applications to crash. There it is. Wallpaper chooser activity. And I'll just go ahead and click off the ringtone chooser also. And then the other application was Google Plus. Oops, so do the same with that. Set wallpaper activity right there. And when I go back out and go to set a wallpaper, those will be gone. Alright.